Hello everyone.
Hello everybody.
Well, it's Monday afternoon, waiting for the children to come home from school.
I don't know where the day's gone. It's flown by.
Well, we did have a little bit of a lay-in this morning.
Just a little one, yeah.
Sorry to make everybody feel jealous out there. We should have been, well, we didn't have work booked in. We did at home. We had lots of things we were going to get on and do, but that went out the window because we looked at each other and went, back to bed for half an hour. Yeah. Cup of tea.
After I've done the school run, by the way.
And watch a couple of YouTube videos, which we did. We're catching up on lots of people because there's a lot of things we haven't caught up on. It's lovely. Yeah. And it's funny because we watched John Cedar's video this morning. I told him he stole our thunder. He went to his last meeting and he was describing what it was in this country when he came to this country to go to the Kingdom Hall with his family in November last year. Was his last official one. And it got us thinking because it was bizarre how he was saying about how his hair was quite long at the time and he slicked it back as best he could to make it look a little less in your face. By the way, John, your hair looks great. Don't do anything with it. Don't cut it.
Like you with a beard, though.
Yeah, I do actually, but then I like a man with a bit of stubble.
Yeah,
so.
We'll come on to that in a minute.
Yeah. Anyway, so watching his video, and he said how he had to slick his hair back and everything, and it actually made us go back to the XJW's United in Christ Day that we had a couple of weekends ago, where we were listening to each people, everybody was going up on the platform, and I'd said to Mark that very morning, I might bring up about dress sense because if we get time, that is, because we had in mind what we wanted to say, but we just let the spirit flow. So what was said up on the platform actually wasn't rehearsed, which was nice because it shows that the spirit was in the room helping, which is lovely. Anyway, what was funny was Paul Jennings. I didn't get to say what I wanted to say about that, about dress sense, and so we went on and listened to everybody getting up on the platform doing their bit. And it got to Pastor Paul Jennings, and he was saying that although he's never been a Jehovah's Witness before, he's got a lot of dealings with ex-Jehovah's Witnesses.
Knows a lot about them.
Yeah, in order to help other JWs that are wanting to come out and obviously, show that they're not alone, and has a support network that they've designed up north, which is lovely, and I think that's trying to spread it over the UK now, which is great. But he mentioned how Jason had mentioned, who it was a former Jehovah's Witness, that in his particular congregation, out the back, if a visiting brother from another congregation turned up in a coloured shirt, they had a whole rail of white shirts pressed and ready to go if they turned up, all different collar sizes to obviously make sure there's no excuse. And how they were ready to go so that this person going up on the platform that was visiting could wear a white shirt because you had to keep up the old traditions.
In this congregation,
and it made us laugh because it's funny that we were talking about what little quirks were in our congregation, and one of them was you weren't allowed to get up on the platform without a suit jacket on or a tie. So we were thinking back. Do you remember that we had a really hot summer? I mean, it was really awful. You couldn't breathe hardly in the congregation. It was in the Kingdom Hall. It was awful, stiflingly hot. And us Brits, unfortunately, different degrees of weather throw us. So if it's really cold, it throws us.
It was a summer's evening, wasn't it? It was absolutely like.
If it's really hot, it throws us.
But it was humid as well, and it was an extremely hot temperature.
And when you've got a lot of people in one confined space, it can get very overwhelming. Anyway, so this brother, wanted to get up on. He hadn't actually worn a suit jacket to the hall at all. And he was made to put on. Another brother in the Kingdom Hall lent him his jacket to give the talk. This poor brother had to stand on this platform in this stifling heat for an hour, because it was an hour talk at the time, because they've been reduced now. But then, when this brother was giving this talk, it was an hour long, and you could see it was pouring off him.
The sweat was pouring off him.
Absolutely pouring off him, and he looked. I must say, he looked a numpty in that jacket because it didn't fit him either.
Didn't fit him. He was soaked in.
It distracted from the whole thing.
He looked soaked in sweat. And it was actually a spectacle.
It was awful
to behold.
It didn't make any sense whatsoever.
No, but it actually got us thinking about that and thinking, well, what matters here in the Kingdom Hall? What really is important in the Kingdom Hall when it comes to conformity, uniformity, compliance? All of these words come to mind when we're thinking about what we're wearing, how we're looking, how we react. Do you know, when we were at the when we were down in Southend a few days ago with all of the ex-JWs. There was one particular instance where a couple were praying at the back of the hall because of a certain situation, and somebody was quite troubled at the time. So somebody else was praying with them. I won't give any details, obviously, but do you know how wonderful that was? And rare to see. But for us, we don't go to, I mean, we've been to a church a couple of times, but that's about it. But to actually see it in action, people just getting on and praying. And
not worrying about who's seeing them doing it. It's normally, you can know, I don't know about anybody else up there, but it's very rare to see a brother and sister sat down or stood up praying with each other or in a group. It just didn't happen. No. And it would be like, oh, weird.
Can you imagine?
And it would look weird.
Not just weird, you'd probably be cancelled on it.
Yeah, you probably would.
You know, what are you doing?
Could you go somewhere private and do that?
What are you doing in our Kingdom Hall? Praying?
But what was weird was watching this brother do this with his sister. I wanted to join in. But I thought I won't. But my automatic response was to go and join in and to help at the situation and to show the love that they with the unity. And rather than it being an odd spectacle, it actually was a very encouraging thing to see. So I applaud that. It was wonderful to see that, and I think that for ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, it's very anyway. But it's lovely to see it. Anyway, going back to also the clothes and things, brought us onto beards. John was saying about his hair being slicked back. John Cedars, when he did his video about how he had to slick his hair back and he wasn't allowed to and he was thinking, shall I have my hair cut? And then he thought, no, don't do anything with your hair, because as we said, love your hair like it is, like a man with a bit of stubble, or like a man with a bit of length on his hair. It looks good. It suits you. Might not suit everybody, but you know, it suits you. And that brings me on to beards. In our Kingdom Hall, beards weren't really seen as appropriate, and we were saying that I could never get my head around that, because every picture of Bible times of the early Christians and Jesus included,
Jesus himself
has got a beard.
He's got a beard.
I'm not saying that Mark, I mean, Mark's got a beard. I'm not saying that he, he's trying to look like Jesus. He looks more like Santa, which is lovely, because I'm growing a nice belly on him too. I'm going to get him dressed up in red.
I'm not complaining, mind.
No, but anyway, beards. What's wrong with a beard on a man? It just makes me. And we were saying that suits. Every man has to wear a suit now. Every congregation, and I should imagine in specific areas more so, you're going to get your families that have got 2, 3, 4 men in the family. If you've never been in a position where you have to have a suit, to suddenly be in a position where you have to make sure every single one of that family's got a suit on, that's an expensive outlay on money to supply a suit. And if you've got children that are growing, to have to put suits on the younger,
new suit.
And if anything like our Bren grew from literally being shorter than me, I could put my elbow on him, to suddenly being much taller.
He's growing an inch a day
than his dad. So he, growth happens, and so it becomes a very, very expensive thing. And I said, why do they have this rule where you have to have suits for the men and skirts for the women? Skirts. Why aren't you allowed to wear trousers?
Skirts not above the knee.
Not above the knee, and if they were, you'd get counsel on it.
Oh, that's said. Yeah.
I remember on 2 different occasions, 2 different sisters for different reasons. One was too long and one was too short. The one that was too short was an elder's wife, and she's a model. I mean, she's very tall, very beautiful woman.
Yeah, she's a very lovely lady,
and
isn't she?
he was approached, and they said, your wife's skirt's a little too short. I think the people that were complaining were other sisters that were jealous of how she looked. But that's beside the business.
But she looked very decent, very modest.
She looked very decent. There was nothing wrong with the skirt, but because she was tall, obviously the calf length of her calf was the same length as my entire leg.
Oh, you're stumbling us.
Yeah, but getting to this, it was a case of he was counselled, said your wife's skirt is far too short. On me, it would have been a long skirt. On her, it was a short skirt, but it wasn't inappropriate. But he said, "Wow, I like my wife in short skirts. Good for you.
Good for you.
For standing up." But
You rebel, you.
Most people that, if it hadn't have been an elder's wife, he would have made sure his wife. I'm sure if he was trying to climb the ladder, I think he would have made sure his wife changed her skirt to something longer. But anyway, I also knew of another sister that got
that's
cancelled.
An interesting one, yeah.
That got cancelled for too long a skirt.
That's interesting,
and
isn't
apparently
it?
she looked too much like the Plymouth Brethren. And they said you look more like that. You're just missing the headscarf bit. And I just thought, you can't say that. Hang on, so skirts are too long and they're too short.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, why? Okay, solve a problem. Why can't we wear trousers? Yeah. And going back to the beginning of this year, this is another how indoctrinated as JWs you are, even about your dress and grooming, that you don't even realise it. For example, just come on to that in a minute, that point about the beginning of the year, but at the assemblies, I remember how much sisters in the congregation I was in and congregation I'd always, different ones I'd been in, same theme, and I think most of you will agree the same theme in where you're from, might be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but they were all so fixated on what they were going to be wearing.
How they looked.
Yeah. The assembly coming up every year, the district convention, was a massive, what am I going to wear for the, because it's 3 days, I've got to make sure I've got a different outfit for each day. Big talking part.
I remember listening to the sisters. I used to work with some and they said, what are you wearing for the 3 days? You've got all your outfits sorted. And I'm thinking...
Yeah, it's months away, yeah.
We're in a football stadium.
Yeah, exactly. But you see, this is the thing. I mean, okay, everybody wants to look nice. They want to look... and because when you feel like you look nice, it makes you have confidence. So straight away, I understand that. I'm not criticising it, but it was just something I observed as a Jehovah's Witness female, that sisters were overly obsessed and preoccupied in their mind of what I was going to wear.
High heels.
What am I going to look like? I mustn't wear the same thing I wore last year. So and so said I'd lost weight this year, and last time she saw me, and I've put on a bit. I make sure that I'm looking good, and I've got. It was all about appearance, never about am I going to enjoy the assembly.
Image.
And I remember most of the time the assembly, specifically the youths as well, rather than going there for the spiritual building, they'd be there on the manhunt, or on the case of the brothers, on a sister hunt to see their next future bride or husband for the future.
It's just one great big courting ground.
It was, and you could see that they'd mull around, go around the outside of the assembly
Couldn't
arena.
wait for lunchtime, like hordes of
But they
antelope.
do it during the sessions as well. They wouldn't just do it during,
that's true.
It wasn't just during the lunchtime.
It was just
while the sessions were on.
Skirmishes with each other in groups as they're going round, and then a little natter, and then off they go again. I tell you, it was scary.
But I remember getting wrapped up in this, what am I going to wear business? And I've never been like that. I was never like that in my everyday life, but it was always when it came to the assemblies, and always when it came to the Kingdom Hall meetings, make sure I wear something, what am I going to wear, and make sure it's modest, but I want to wear that dress. I remember sitting there once when I was pioneering, and I bought this dress, and it had a split up to on the side, and it was long, but it had a split from the ankle up to the knee on the side. So it wasn't showing anything above the knee, but it was up to the knee. And I sat there in front of an elder in our congregation at the time, an elderly brother, and lovely brother. Unfortunately he's no longer with us, but he was a wonderful brother, and he sat there and he commended me, because as a pioneer I was sat there with a needle and thread, and I was sewing up the split in my skirt to make sure. And then I suddenly realised, when I got to kind of like about that much away from the bottom, I thought, how am I going to walk? Because I also had heels, and I thought, I'm going to end up walking like a duck, because I'm going to have to shimmy along, because obviously it was a fitting dress. It wasn't too fitting, but it was designed that the split actually made it flexible to move. There was a reason why the split was there in the design, and I'd sewn it up, and I thought, okay, I had to leave like about that much, and I thought, oh well, that'll be fine, I'm only showing an ankle. But seriously, I mean, going back to the beginning of the year, when we were asked to go up and be interviewed to do our testimony at the first ex-Jehovah's Witness in Stockport, we sat on the seat, and I thought, I got to wear. And so straight away I'm thinking dress. Okay, I look in my wardrobe and I think, yeah, that one will do. I'll wear the black, I'll wear that one, lovely, sorted. And I got there. Do you know, I was one of the only ones in a dress. I felt overdressed because it was so relaxed. And do you know, I looked around and I thought, wow, breath of fresh air.
And all of this, the reason we're sort of going into a little bit of detail about dress sense and about what Cora's experiences of wearing dresses, heels, and how you're looking, is we have to look underneath the layers to this, and the way that the religion controls everything you do. Even the announcements before the summer assembly about wearing aftershaves and perfumes.
That's right,
not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
Because that would be seen, you know, somebody somewhere might be allergic to it. Open air, I just another story. But the whole thing is so controlled, so minutely, right down to the detail. I remember when I was going back a few years ago, I was cancelled a couple of times on my when I started waking up, especially. I got 2 elders at different times saying to me, tapping me on the shoulder, "You still haven't had a shave, Mark." Big laugh about it, but they were serious. And I just said, "No, I'm comfortable with this. Cora's comfortable with it too. It's not too long. It's clean. Yeah, but it's a beard, Mark. Look around you. Yeah.
Conform. You must conform."
So, but I didn't shave it off.
No.
There were times, if ever I did, it was because I wanted to, not because I had to.
Exactly.
And that
your
was,
choice, though.
It was my choice.
That's the whole point. You're not being forced to it.
But what it does, you go away with that flea in your ear, and you go back home and you start thinking, I have to do what the elders tell me about making sure I've shaved my chin. Otherwise, the next time I turn up at the meeting, I'm going to be in fear and in guilt if I haven't done it. So it's all part of that mechanism about control. It's not about the beard at the end of the day.
No.
It's about conforming. Conforming to all of the rules in order to be able to adjust yourself and settle into the congregation. If you are anywhere outside one of those tick boxes, they will take you to one side and they will counsel you, albeit very gently, but they say, look around you. We want to make sure that you're not upsetting anybody else in the congregation.
And that's the excuse they used every time. It's to offend one's brother.
Yeah.
I understand to a certain degree with the perfumes and things,
allergies
in a confined space. But at the end of the day, where do you draw the line? Because you could put that to deodorants, you could put that to hair spray, you could put that to absolutely anything. And if someone has got such an allergic reaction, they're not going to cope with everyday life, let alone going. And facilities should be put in place.
Someone with that
by them as individuals in order to
they should be in the first aid room.
Exactly.
If they're that.
Yeah. So I think that was a little bit more of you will conform.
This is reminding you.
Yeah.
Do you remember all those times we stood up in the assembly, at the assemblies, summer assemblies, and you'd be stood there after the song's been sung, and instead of like in the Kingdom Hall, you'd sit down. Not here. In the assemblies, you had to stay standing. Yeah. Until they tell you.
That's right. Yeah. Until they tell you may sit, brothers.
Control.
So why did you have to stand for the announcement?
Everybody
anyway?
Stand up. Don't you dare sit down.
Why can't you sit down for the
announcements?
Seated. I don't get that at all.
That's the end of the announcement now. Please be seated.
Now going to the one that we've just the convention we've just been to for the ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. This time I looked in my wardrobe and thought, not shall I wear a dress? I thought, what do I want to wear? Now that includes dresses, skirts, trousers, all sorts, jeans, the lot. And I thought, do you know what? Today I think I'll be mostly wearing, and I picked jeans, black jeans. I thought I'll wear it with the boots. Yeah, why not? Suited to what I felt at the time I wanted to wear that day. Not, I've got to wear, did I wear that last time? And seriously, it was such another hurdle of relief.
Breaking through
Unbelievable. And you know, when you all turn up in a room and you're all dressed how you are, no one's judging anybody. No one's looking at going, oh, she wore that last time. Look at the size of those heels. No one's judging anybody, seriously. No one's on parade. No one's wanting to outdo the sister next to her or to make sure she gets brother so-and-so looking at her and not so-and-so. Seriously, that does go on, and I've witnessed it firsthand, and it used to wind me up because, anyway.
When people are turning up in a pair of jeans and a t-shirt in the church and they're totally relaxed with that, or a shirt. I just wore shirts and jeans and because I felt relaxed and a little bit smart. For me, that's how I felt. But others, it was a t-shirt. Fine, that's good. That's good too. No problem. Did I feel upset by that? No. Were they upset that I was wearing a shirt? No. It didn't matter. It was about your individuality.
Exactly.
Just turning up.
Yeah.
And being there was important. And sharing each other and looking at each other. So glad you made it, by big hugs all round.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And that's the other thing. See, you love wearing suits, don't you? Mark absolutely loves it. I mean, for example, in his wardrobe now, he's got several really smart, really nice suits. And he looked in there and went the other way, I miss wearing them. Not because he wants to wear it all the time, but he actually enjoys looking smart and wearing a suit. But if he'd have wanted to have worn a suit, he could have.
Yeah, well,
the difference is he didn't want to.
No, I really didn't.
So we wear them when we go out for a nice meal or something. He'll put on a nice suit, or if we go. So that's it. They're there for when they're to be used. But the point is, you don't have to have it in your wardrobe just to conform. And also, just going back, you get people turning up. For example, take a Kingdom Hall full of people that are smartly dressed. Okay, you've got suits on the men, you've got long skirts or skirts, decent, very modest clothes on the women. They're getting a bit more laps with the younger generation these days, but that's fine, good for you. But just saying that they're going into the Kingdom Halls and they went, now you get someone who hasn't got hardly any money or hardly any, and they've never had, they don't get themselves new clothes very often because they can't financially afford it, and there's many families out there like that, and they'll go into the Kingdom Hall and straight away they're going to feel out of place, and straight away they're going to be in their minds thinking, I don't belong here. Why? Because they don't belong, because they're not conforming. So straight away they're thinking, I have to get a suit, I have to get a this, I have to get a that. And if you take the same person and put them in the position of where we were just recently, or the churches that we have been into, to on the odd occasion when we wanted to go, they've all, everybody fits in. There's no one standing out, there's no one looking odd, you don't belong here, or you look a bit strange, which
goes back to our point, doesn't it, about this whole area where somebody isn't dressed appropriately, as they would call it, where they've maybe, say there's a brother that can't afford a new suit and it's looking tatty, it's looking tatty, and maybe his collar's starting to scuff at the back. Quite often, especially in the Western world here, and I know this for a fact, the way that the congregation review that person is a little bit on the outside of the congregation, not really in the middle. He's look at him, bless him. He's not keeping up, is he? That's the way they were judged. And
it'd be judged spirituality. It wouldn't be judged on what's in his heart or his mind, or what he's on the outside. It'd be look on how he's looking.
He's not really in the centre, is he? Look at him.
Yeah.
I mean, how could you take that out on the ministry? I don't want to work with him. Look at him.
Exactly.
Or her. Yeah. She's, look at her hair, for goodness sake. Have a, she's not washed it regularly enough. Or there was always, if you weren't completely spot on ticking all those boxes, you were on the outside. You were on the periphery somewhere. Still, okay, you're accepted in, or bless them, but you weren't really centre of congregation.
You weren't part of it, really.
No.
And this is the whole thing. When we've ever been anywhere other than a Kingdom Hall, you do feel that bond of love given to everybody. No one's made to feel odd. No one's made to feel on the outside. And it's strange how in the Kingdom Hall you get the feeling that when you don't look right, you are put kind of on the outside. No one really wants to stand and talk to you, to be seen talking to you. And it's about appearance again. And I think that's very wrong. I
can remember a ministerial servant turning up a couple of years ago, just finished work. Now, rather than miss the meeting, he turned up in his work clothes.
That's right, yeah.
I remember that day.
Yeah.
Everyone was gobsmacked.
I remember.
That he turned up in his work clothes with his Bible, sat at the back, out the way.
Yeah.
But everybody was, oh, what's he done?
I remember. There was one brother, and I do admire this, at the assembly. He wore a red tartan suit, no socks, and slip-on shoes.
Excellent.
And it was like, he did get noticed.
Oh, I bet he got cancelled.
It was so funny.
He was probably
because I just thought, I looked at him at the time and thought, oh, you're standing out, aren't you? But I just fair play. But I will also say, I was going to say something about the clothes. I can't remember what it was now.
I'm sorry, love.
That's all right. No. I was just thinking about the tartan. That's right. Going back to the Kingdom Hall. I remember we were sat in the Kingdom Hall, and there was a sister who's considered quite spiritual, I must add to this, one of our previous congregations, and we sat there, and at the back, we were always at the back. I hated sitting at the front.
Oh yeah.
Used to. Everybody was encouraged to sit nearer the front. Everybody was trying to sit at the back, so you'd have like 3 or 4 rows at the front completely empty.
Yeah.
Anyway, this,
apart from the swats.
Yeah. Yes, one that wanted to look like they were
back straight,
they were standing,
neck straight,
yes,
stiff upper
reaching
lip.
out in the Kingdom Hall.
You know, ones with the rainbow watchtowers, and everybody can see them. You know the
funny.
ones.
Yeah. Anyway, this one sister was sat down nearish the front, about two rows away. Right behind her was the presiding overseer and his wife. And the wife, she had this top that was kind of, well, the sister in front of the PO's wife had this top that was kind of draping round her back, so it's kind of giving a little bit on the loose side, a little bit of her neck, because she had short hair, so her neck was showing, and just a tiny little bit of her shoulder.
Bit of the shoulder.
Not much, not much, but it was modest around the front, but it was obviously showing a bit too much back. And this PO sisters got her Bible, put it to the side, leaned forward, and lifted this sister's shirt over.
And tapped it round and tapped her on the shoulder.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
You're done now. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Much better. And I looked at Martha to me gobsmacked.
And this sister, who was an elder's wife,
who turned round, bright red, flush red,
like a beetroot she was.
Absolutely.
On full spectacle in the middle of a meeting.
Everybody looked to it because it was only you automatically, your eye was drawn because it was near the front.
Yeah,
Anything that happened down the front, your eye was automatically taken.
Well, because anybody moves out of conformity, you'd start doing something that's a little bit unusual, like put a sweet in your mouth, or look the wrong way. Everybody's looking at you.
Yeah, or it's like the old seagull at the assemblies, isn't it?
Remember them days?
You know, the open air assemblies. I don't know in America, but in Britain, like all the British XJWs and even you witnesses will know exactly what I'm talking about. If you had a stadium here in Britain with a grass football pitch, and you're all sat round, and you'd get this one seagull that would suddenly land, and everybody would go from watching the platform to watching the seagull walking along the platform, thinking along the green, thinking, "Go on, get nearer the stage.
How close can you? Let's place your bets. Place your bets. And we'd all be taking bets on how close this bird would get before it flew off.
Yeah,
you know.
But you could, the way that it would walk with its, as if it was really strutting its stuff, knowing that it had a full captive audience staring at it. It was hilarious. Yeah. I do miss that.
I do, I do actually. I miss that. I used to measure it with alcohol. Like how far do you reckon? How far?
Place your bets.
Going along like this. Yeah, and there'll be others doing it as well. Yeah. And you see their heads going.
Yeah.
All the way down. Yeah. Strange things to remember. I suppose I'm just looking at the time now. The emphasis of what we were trying to get at with this video is that if you are studying to become a Jehovah's Witness and you're thinking about getting baptized, then you're going to have to conform to all of the standards that your congregation sets, let alone what the organisation set. You'll have standards set within that congregation. Believe me, that's a slam dunk. You will have to conform. If you don't, you'll be cancelled. If you're not, and if you still don't do it, you'll be sidelined.
Oh, just remembered again. Sorry, just one more thing. Ties. A brother wore a cartoon with a cartoon character. I think it was a Looney Tune character on his tie. Got cancelled for that. It was a tie, but because it had something on there that wasn't to standard. He had a whole selection of these different ties, and he wore one once, and he showed me. And if you look close enough, it was giraffes, all lined up, all linked together. But it actually looked like a real. Like blocked pattern, but when you look closer, it was animals on it. It was brilliant. But again, even if you wore an item, like, for example, a shirt that's the wrong colour or a tie that's the wrong pattern or something, it's still wrong. So, okay, not every Kingdom Hall had the same quirks, but they all had quirks.
They all did, and you will conform. It is about uniformity. It is a cult. It's a false religion. It's man-made and it's controlled, it's high controlled, and they will beat you down in here until you comply. Dress, everything you say, how you smile, how your hair looks, everything is controlled, from the minute, tiny little things all the way up to the very big things. And I'm afraid it's just that, a high, toxic, controlled group.
And it's a group think too. But can I just say before we go, I've just noticed you've got like the arse of our It's a rhino, by the way.
Yeah, it's a rhino.
I just saw.
It's not a rhino's arse sticking out my ear. Of course, people are going to say, "What is that sticking out your ear, Mark?" Yeah, there we go. I suppose that solves the problem.
It's Harold the rhino.
Okay, yeah.
Anyway, love to everyone, and hopefully catch up with you soon. But
take care, everybody.
See you soon.
Bye for now.
Bye bye.